Welcome once again to Flashpoints. I'm Bob Orr. Joining me is Juan Zarate. He's our national security analyst. Juan, good to see you.
Bob, great seeing you.
Let's talk about what happened in Canada. Terrible attack in Ottawa. An officer, a guard, was shot and killed. And then the gunman was shot inside Parliament and he was killed. What do you make of this? Is this a homegrown type attack? What happened there?
Well, you have to put this in context of what happened in Canada a couple days before that. Two soldiers run over outside of Montreal in Quebec. And I think what you're starting to see are manifestations of the fear that counterterrorism officials have of individuals in countries like Canada, the U.S., being drawn to an ideology, or at least the call to attack security services and soldiers in their home country, either inspired by the Islamic State or by the ideology that underlies it. Now, we're learning more about the perpetrator, lots of troubles in his past, criminality, etc. And so there may be other parts to the story, but without a doubt, the fact that you had a gunman inside the Parliament in Canada raises the specter of homegrown terrorism in a very material way, not just for Canada, but for the United States.
ISIS was very open in their propaganda, urging sympathizers to attack where you can, when you can. They named military targets, media targets, police officers.
Exactly.
That's a message that unfortunately seems to resonate.
It does, and it matches, keep in mind, Bob, we've talked about this for a number of years, Al-Qaeda's shift toward calling individuals who are radicalized, who are sympathetic to the cause, to attack in place. Remember, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, the affiliate in Yemen, has been calling for this for some time. Don't come to the far-off jihads in Yemen or Somalia or even Afghanistan and Iraq. Attack where you can. Hit the infidels and the regimes where you live. And that's really been a fear of officials, because there's been a fear of the foreign fighters flowing to places like Syria and Iraq and potentially coming back, but also the fear that people who already live here will be inspired to attack their fellow citizens. And that really was what manifested in Canada, and why you see so much attention now to the question of how to combat the ideology behind terrorism and not just the terrorists themselves.
A lot of the counterterrorism people who I've talked to are really worried, saying this is going to happen in the U.S. It's not a matter of if, but just when. Do you agree that that's the kind of risk we face?
Yes, I think the real question is, are we going to see a spike in volume? Remember, back in 2009, we really did have a spike. This was the year of Fort Hood and a number of other cases where they were either disrupted or individuals were caught as they were being radicalized, as they were plotting. And we wonder then, are we seeing a spike, a plateau? Are we going to see more of these? So I think for the U.S. context, the question is, does the Islamic State add to the momentum of radicalization? Does it inspire more people to mobilize? And the difficulty here, Bob, we've talked about this, is you don't have one particular ethnic group or segment of the society that's being affected. What the FBI and others are seeing is that it's a diversity of individuals, different ethnicities, different modalities with respect to their relationship to Islam, and other factors that make it very hard to predict where this may pop up. And you heard that from the Canadians, the difficulty of predicting this, and you're going to hear it from the American officials moving forward.
Any attack is bad, and one death is too many, obviously, but do we take any comfort at all from seeing that this is the model now terrorists seem to be reduced to? It's not the big attack, it's the small, do what you can where you can. It seems in some ways kind of desperate.
It does, and if you're talking about sort of body count measurements of the effect of terrorism, this is pretty meek and incredibly tragic for the family of the soldier killed and the people affected. But I think the problem and question with terrorism, which makes it different from other types of crimes and activities, is the strategic impact and the psychological impact. The fact that you had a gunman in the Parliament in Canada, the video of parliamentarians and others in the heart of a key Western democracy scrambling, that has broader strategic and social impact than an ordinary crime. And that's really the difference between terrorism and common criminality. And so I think even if you don't have huge numbers, if you were to have significant singular attacks, that is still significant, and that's what counterterrorism officials in the United States try to prevent and are worried about.
And it's worth noting that ISIS came out right away to praise this, saying this is exactly what we're asking for.
Absolutely, and the danger behind ISIS, Bob, and I've said this, is not just the safe haven they've established in the heart of the Middle East, it's the momentum and inspiration they're giving, again, to this global jihadi movement. People in the core and even these strap hangers who are willing to kill on its behalf.
Juan, thanks very much.
Thank you, Bob.
And thanks to you for watching Flashpoints. I'm Bob Orr. We'll see you next time.